You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting. This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Keen Ice has got him! Keen Ice has won the Travers over American Pharaoh in a dramatic upset. The Graveyard of Champions has claimed another.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on a Wednesday morning as we kick off another week of racing here live from the Saratoga backstretch. Travers Week, the Travers draw last night down at Druthers, and a nice full competitive field. 14 horses entered. It's not like last year where everybody had the target on American Pharaoh. It's a little more wide open, but certainly it makes for an exciting betting event as part of a really, really nice card. Lady Eli expected, Flintshire. It should be, boy, just a lot of fun here on Saturday. So we'll see how it all shakes out on Travers Day, coming up just a couple of days. Coming up in just a few minutes, Teresa Genaro, Brooklyn Backstretch. She covers the calendar for us here each and every week, telling us some of the events to keep our eyes on coming up over the next 7 days. We'll hit on that. Diana Pikulski will join us from the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. They had a nice event yesterday out at McGregor Golf Course, a little golf outing benefiting the TRF and PDJF. We'll hit on that and much more. They have an event coming up towards the end of the meet as well that you can participate in. And towards the end of the show, our friend Larry Collmus will jump on board. We'll talk some Saratoga and beyond with Larry. But top of the show, as always on a Wednesday, it is one of the two Clancys, Sean or Joe. This week, Joe Clancy. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. Happy to have you on board. As always, and always like to tout your work with the Saratoga Special. Remind people they can pick it up around town, certainly on the racetrack. And it was a busy week with Songbird making her second impressive appearance at the racetrack.
Amazing. You mentioned Travers Day. They're going to have a tough act to follow with 2 acts of Songbird. It was really neat and very special to have her here, and you just saw it register with the racing fans. I mean, that's what's the beauty of it. And to have those 2 days and have a filly like that come back and run again, and just to do it as well as she does it is just, and it's very difficult to explain. It's supposed to be our job to write about these things and talk about them, and she's just good, and it's devastating the way she runs her races.
Yeah, the question mark was the distance.
Yeah,
wasn't much of a question.
Not anymore.
She runs away from the field. I'll ask you also, just in the larger arena of horse racing, get a chance to see the Pacific Classic?
I did, yeah, in the office, but we took a break. We had a couple of big Olympic races and the Pacific Classes. We stopped working to make sure we got a look at it, and another devastating performance. And he's phenomenal, and it just, again, you try and explain or try and figure out, I don't know how you would beat or counteract horses like California Chrome and Songbird when they run like that. You're not going to run them down. You're also not going to go with them. It's amazing to watch. That's the best part of this game.
And I made the point the last couple of days. that Pegasus race they have coming up at the beginning of next year, which I think is a fun idea. I'm going to be interested to see how it plays out. But if California Chrome keeps running this way, how do they fill slots 6 through 12?
Yeah, I don't. They've already paid for them, so I guess they got to show up. But you're right. It was. Again, you have these questions, coming back from Dubai, this, that, and the other thing. But yeah, he's just seems like in such good form right now, and it's great to see horses come back, and get a chance to run beyond their Triple Crown year, beyond their 3-year-old year. It's fascinating.
And he's
to watch.
5,
yeah,
and that's
5.
exciting.
That's right.
I mean, these days, a horse at that level, you don't see it. Although the last couple of years, we've seen a little more of that. And maybe with a race like the Pegasus, if
it
it's
might
successful.
Keep people around. Yeah, exactly. I love it. Yeah, I think it's
more.
great, and you see it here, especially you see it here, or you see it at the bigger events. The following those horses bring, and you can't argue with that.
And again, Saratoga Special, pick it up around town, on track, and online. The web address again is
this is horseracing.com, and the full PDF of the special is up there, as well as little bits and pieces of other stuff from the meet as we go.
And I'll also tout. I feel like this year I'm looking around. Normally, I have to go back a while as a public handicapper to have a Saratoga meet I could really hang my hat on. I've done okay, but at the end of the year, I was kind of just at maybe the bottom of that first tier. Last year, I don't even know if I put myself there. But this year, I feel like I'm floating around, and the last couple of weeks might be interesting for me. But your man George Shapazian is having another really, really good year.
John is tough. I bumped into him, and he really works at it. So I mean, he tells me I handicap every card 3 times. And I'm like, wow, more power to you. And yeah, his numbers. I think he's at. I don't know what the number is now. He was at 70-something the other day.
He's over 80.
Over 80 now. And,
at least.
He's got a pretty good lead on Gale, and Tom Law is starting to creep back into it a little bit, but John will be very tough to catch.
And we'll remind people also that starting, was it last year, you put the picks online on the days you aren't.
Yeah, so we don't publish Mondays normally, and then we take a couple other. We'll take off next Thursday, but the picks are up every day online. So they're either in the paper every day, or when we don't publish, they're online at thisishorseracing.com.
Thursday off?
Yeah, just to regroup. The
Group,
Friday and Saturday nights we're about to have are going to blow up. Everybody loves it when we're finished early. Like we're done at 8:30 last night, and a lot of feedback from readers. We can read the night before. Don't count on that Saturday morning, okay?
Again, highly recommended Saratoga Special. Either pick it up here in town or read it online. All right, Joe, let's jump in. We invite you and/or Sean here every week to talk a little steeplechase action. And, of course, this week, highlighted by the highlight of the steeplechase meetup here, the New York Turf Riders, tomorrow. But before that, we have a steeplechase to kick things off today. 1 o'clock post time. It's a non-winners of 2 lifetime. And while we talk, I'm going to pull up a race from July 10th. We're going to go back 2 starts for share out in here. The winner in this race will be the number 1, Bob LeBeau. So you get a little look at him for tomorrow's race as well. But share out runs second in here. Share out will be the number 3 horse running second. This was a flat race down at Parks. Subsequently, share out came back and ran in a flat race at Laurel. Didn't do quite as well, but the buyer was pretty good for that second start, the start subsequent to this one. I like the horses coming out of these flat races, and given that Bob LeBeau did so well out of this race to win the Smithwick up here, I thought Share Out was maybe a little bit intriguing. Also getting Doyle on board, the leading steeplechase jockey so far this season nationally, that attracted my attention. So I tilted in favor of Share Out. I put North Star Boy underneath. And then our man Shepard, you and I and Teresa Genaro were talking before we came on, looking to keep his win streak at Saratoga alive. Castle Hill, he has Rum Tum Tugger in the feature race a little bit later on as well. I think Castle Hill has a decent possibility in here also to maybe keep that streak alive. But for me, 6, 7, and 3. How did you see it today?
Yeah, I'm impressed with you coming up with Share Out. There goes our 15-1, right out the window. But I kind of like that horse a little bit too. Again, that's a good flat effort against Bob LeBeau, and then came back and ran at Laurel against. He and North Star Boy come out of the same flat race at Laurel. And Share Out, he kind of ran out of room at the end, and you could see the jock sort of he had absolutely nowhere to go inside. And it wasn't like he got stopped, but ended up not beating that far, well back in the field, but a good effort to set him up for this. He's got to jump, and he's got to have his day and come back to some of his good form. I think those 2 races certainly would sharpen him up. Doesn't look like he has that much more experience than some of these horses, but he's been doing it longer. You know, he had some time off, but he's been jumping with Todd White a little longer than some of these. So I think that would help. North Star Boy, flat form, sensational. You know, I think coming out of that flight rest, he made the running going, a lot shorter than this at Laurel. He's probably going to be up front, which puts a lot of pressure on his jumping and that kind of thing. I landed on, which direction did I go? I went 6-2-8, throwing in All For Us, trying to jump in there for Jack Fisher and Connor Hankin. Castle Hill, it's a maiden. I know they like him. They ran him in one of the better maiden races this spring, but it's a maiden taking on winners, and he has given up a little experience even coming out of the Shepherd Barn. But it should fit with these. You know, it's not that tough. It's fairly wide open, but it's not that tough.
Another one in most of the career has been on the flat and doing pretty well on the flat. And the last time, you just have to draw a line through that one over the jumps, and it is Jonathan Shepherd again chasing that record. And as I say, I have that one in the third spot. Everybody knows I'm a Jonathan Shepherd fan. I'll have a couple bucks on the horse, and I'll be rooting because it's a great story. The Shepherd win streak. So we'll see how that plays out. And again, he has Rum Tum Tugger a little bit later in the day as well. Oh, we also should mention, because as you talked about All For Us, Connor Hankin, the jockey, you mentioned it, I think, on your first visit here this season. What, he heads to the Marines right after the meet, right?
September 10th, he told me. Officer Candidate School starts. And really cool young man. Nice to see. He'll be might be the last two races of his life today and tomorrow. And I could see him trying to sneak it in here and there, but obviously he's got bigger commitments. And he's been on some of the broadcasts up here. He was on the Albany News one day, and it's nice to see him getting some attention. And he's on live horses both days, so it wouldn't surprise me if he could pull one off.
It's very much another one of the Saratoga good stories. All right, tomorrow, the New York Turf Riders, again, as noted, Grade 1 event. Typically, it'll play into Eclipse Awards because as a voter myself, I look for those Grade 1 victories, and so the New York Turf Riders can play into it on the jump side. And certainly coming out of the AP Smith Whip, Bob LeBeau with already that Grade 1 up at Saratoga on the resume. He's going to be a player, you would think, in that Eclipse voting as we get towards the end of the year. I'm going to pull up that Smith Whip from August 4th. Bob LeBeau will be the number 8 horse. Comes from way out of it to win pretty easily. I mean, sitting there last most of the way around. And then, as I say, kind of goes by them all with Doyle on board. Again, the top steeplechase jockey in the nation this season. Bob LeBeau, again, the number 8 horse, sweeps by him and gets it done here in the Smithwick. Now, the question mark, Joe, is this is the defending champion of New York Turf Riders, but won the race last year under 140. He carries 162 tomorrow. So weight going this distance, I put him on top, but with a lot of trepidation. And on the weight, I thought Scorpiancer, who ran second in that race we saw just there, might have a little bit of an edge. He gets 12 pounds. 20 pounds is given to Portrait, who finished third in that race we just saw. So I have those two right underneath. And if you're a believer in weight, I think you have to take a look at that 162 and kind of wonder, will Bob LeBeau do it? I just think the form he's in, I put him on top. But with the 162, I'm dicey.
No, and that's why they're handicaps. It is going to make you think a little bit, and he's obviously going to be a short price. I think I was talking to somebody yesterday, and weight matters, but your horse still has to be in form. You know, your horse still has to be good. I mean, you're getting 12 pounds. Scorpiancer still needs to run a better race than he ran in Smithwick, I think, to beat Bob LeBeau. Bob LeBeau is very quick around a racetrack, and I watched him train yesterday. He worked last week too, and he wouldn't be out of place in the John's Call. I mean, he is very quick, and if Jack Doyle sits there, and then punches that last little bit, it doesn't look like it's that hard a race on him. The weight would be a question. And then just history. It's been since 1999 since the horses swept the Smithwick and the Turf Riders in the same year. And just circumstances. But I think he's in very good form. Again, I watched him train yesterday on the grass at Oklahoma. He looked great to me. And I think he's going to be very tough. If he gets that same kind of trip, these horses aren't as fast as he is over the last furlong or last quarter. And if he gets that same trip that Jack wants, is able to save ground, which he did there, and punch home, is very, very, very tough to beat. I think you have to pick him, but yeah, you would kind of trying to play the odds, play the weight. Scorpiancer certainly, I like that change. If you wanted to change things from that, the Scorpiancer group would probably want the weight they got and a little more ground to work with, which they have. Charminster comes in, did not run the Smithwick. Cyril Murphy. Sources are always in form. That horse runs well. I mean, he runs well at either the hunt meets or the racetracks, and he could, run into a share of it too.
Yeah, I think it's short field, but a fun field, again, with Bob LeBeau coming off of the win. But as you say, you look back, he was fourth in the Smithwick last year before winning the New York Turf Fighters. It's hard to double them up.
Yeah, it's very tricky.
We'll see. But if you do double them up, as I say, that could play into an eclipse at the end of the year, too. Definitely. A couple of great ones up at Saratoga can't hurt. All right, Joe, we'll wrap things up, but there's only one more Wednesday left. I don't know whether it'll be you and Sean. If it happens to be Sean, we enjoyed your visits as always. Again, we'll tout folks to pick up Saratoga Special around town. What, Price Choppers?
Yeah, the Price Choppers, the Stewards, pretty much all the hotels in town. We might miss one or two here or there because they keep building new hotels, so it's a little hard to keep track of them. But most of the hotels, the Horseshoe across the street here, pretty much anywhere around town. The Parting Glass has them.
It just remind people, because I think we may have talked about it the first week, but for folks who maybe weren't tuned in or in town, and probably more people in town for Travers, what the schedule is like for you guys putting the newspaper together, taking it from showing up for the race day morning, actually, and then the next morning when you have to deliver the papers.
Yeah, and I don't care what we do. It seems like it's that night producing the paper. We finish by 10 o'clock, or are supposed to finish by 10 o'clock, but then the Friday nights for the Saturday and the Saturday nights for the Sunday papers are bears, and it's usually midnight by the time we're done. And then, the papers get delivered back here. Albany Times-Union prints them, delivers them back here. We're out in the morning handing them out, putting them in the racks, that kind of thing. We do not do the town. We have a driver for that, so we don't have to do that shift. But you're out here early at 5:30 or 6 putting them out, and then covering the races and back around again and get on the horse again, do it all over again. And
you guys do a great job. Again, highly recommended to pick it up or check it out online at thisishorseracing.com. Again, Joe, thanks for the visits.
Thanks for having us.
All right, we'll head to a break. When we come back, Teresa Genaro will join us. We'll do a little rundown of what's coming up over the next 7 days in and around the racetrack. Stay tuned.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
It's where dreams are born and champions are tested. Saratoga.
And the excitement of Saratoga is now at your fingertips at CapitalOTBBet.com. Wager any place, anytime on all your digital devices. Watch live racing, get past performances, bet online on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. Now for Saratoga, it's Bet 100, Get 100. Open a new Capital Bets account, bet $100, and get $100 cash back. And don't forget to download our new mobile app, CapitalOTBBet.com.
Can you hear it? It's the sound of excitement. Something we infuse into every grape that goes into our exceptional full-bodied wine. That was closer than I thought it would be. Now, if you'll excuse me. 14 hands, where great times are made.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back. It is the Wednesday edition of Racing Across America. That means a visit from Teresa Genaro, the publisher of the Brooklyn Backstretch blog, where you can go and then go out to all the other publications she's working for this summer. Good morning, Teresa.
Good morning, Seth.
And what's out on the blog that people can go out to this week?
A nice little conversation that I had with Jimmy Toner the morning after he won the Lake Placid, which was such a meaningful win for him, winning it for John Phillips Phillips Racing Partnership, who also own Recepta, who was injured earlier. And also, on that Sunday, I published something in the Saratoga Special on the teenager, the 14-year-old, who brought the Jimmy Toner Barn into the world of social media. Set up a Facebook page for them, and it's great. Has all the updates. She's out there many mornings. She's the daughter of Christophe Clement's assistant and a former assistant to Shug McGahee, so she's a little bit of racing royalty, and a really interesting, terrific person who's out there bringing Jimmy Toner up into the digital world.
So easy a 14-year-old can do it. Let's go get a 14-year-old. Perfect. All right, so we'll check those out. And also every week the calendar's over on the Brooklyn Backstretch blog as well, but we'll hit on some of the highlights coming up. Today, we'll mention a few events today. There is the ethnic days, but today it's kind of a little bit different. It's not an ethnic day.
No.
Over at the Saratoga Pavilion, it's Adirondacks Day.
It is Adirondacks
which is kind of
Day.
our local ethnicity, I guess.
Exactly. So we're celebrating the capital region and the North Country, mostly a little bit north of here. Obviously, that's where the Adirondacks are. It's going to be, I think, some local foods and delicacies and some like virtual reality stuff and all kinds of activities that you can do over there.
I see log stamping. I have to go over just to see what that is.
I don't know what that is. I almost put in there that I don't know what log stamping is. Mountain bike demonstrations, craft beer tasting, local food sampling, and you can have your photograph taken in a bobsled. So there's a little bit of emphasis here, too, on Lake Placid, which hosted 2 Olympics.
Yeah, as it should be, because the Adirondacks, Lake Placid, right there.
Yeah.
Also, do want to mention every year they have it, and today is the day. The Stewart's Ice Cream Eating Contest. Registration begins at 11 out by the Jockey Silks room. That's the area in the back with the windows where you can see the silks. So registration at 11, but the contest starts at 2:10. Kids, teens, and adults.
Yeah.
Winners get a gift certificate. Always fun.
And Stewart's ice cream is really good.
Yes.
I mean, Saratoga has a lot of really good ice cream places, and I, make it a project every summer to become an authority on all of them. But I gotta say, like in terms of bang for the buck and taste, nothing beats Stewart's. It's incredibly affordable and really good, and I recommend the peanut butter pandemonium.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if that'll be part of the contest.
If it is, I'll be over there.
Just savoring, though. Everybody else be wolfing it down, and you'll just be savoring your peanut butter. All right. We talked about this last week, but you're on the board, and we want to push it again because it's tonight. It's really one of the more fun kind of charity events of the season. It's the benefit for the Belmont Child Care Association.
Right, which is located on the backstretch of Belmont Park, but which supports children of backstretch workers at all 3 NYRA tracks. A terrific event. The theme this year is the Cirque du BCCA, so the Hall of Springs will look like a circus tent. Wonderful items available for silent and live auction, as well as a wish list that you can, if you can't go to the thing tonight, you can buy items off the wish list. I posted a link to it. You can also get it off the BCCA Twitter account, my Twitter account as well. And there are some seats available for this. The website will say it's sold out, but give a call if you're interested in coming tonight. And it's a great low-key party. Some people come in jeans, some people get dressed up, and everything you're doing benefits the children of backstretch workers.
If you want that number, just type in Belmont Child Care Association into Google. It'll take you to their website, and the contact info will be there. Again, it's a fun party, and it's great charity benefiting the children of the backstretch. Do you want to again tout our buddy Dave Litvin, Travers Tips and Sips? Dave has the event tonight at the Diamond Club Grill, 7:30 to 8:30. So we want to tell people to swing down and check that out. Get some ideas for Travers Day.
Exactly. Looks like a fun event in a relatively new space in Saratoga. The Embassy Suites, which has been there a year or so, and Dave will be there talking about the Travers this weekend.
We also do want to tout another handicapping seminar from Dave tomorrow at Ciro's.
Yep.
That starts at 10:45. He's done a little handful of these breakfast seminars at Ciro's, but again, swing by. Dave, of course, one of the top handicappers up here at Saratoga in years past, and you get some good insights tomorrow if you swing by Ciro's at 10:45.
Yep, and breakfast is available there too at Ciro's if you are so inclined.
Greg Montgomery, Travers Stakes poster signing in the Museum of Racing. That's also tomorrow from 10 to noon.
Yep.
And if you're not familiar with the name Greg Montgomery, the iconic, not only Travers, really Saratoga posters that you see each and every year. His work is very recognizable. Yep. You know it if you don't know the name, but you can go over and get a signed poster tomorrow at the Racing Museum.
Yep, and the posters will be available there for purchase 10 to noon right across the street.
Also at the Racing Museum tomorrow, our buddies Tom Amello and Jeff Carl. They'll look at the Travers. That's at 11 a.m. Tomorrow in the Racing Museum.
Yep, and that is free, included with the cost of paid museum admission. Tom Amello, Jeff Carl, both familiar faces to folks who watch this network. So again, no shortage of handicapping advice out there. So no reason not to pick a winner on Saturday.
Swing by. That's 11 o'clock tomorrow, right across the street, the Racing Museum. Yep. Amello and Carl. Tom Amello, I think Tom walks like 4 doors down.
Yeah, it's nice now that he's got that bed and breakfast.
Tom, the innkeeper, now across the street. And speaking of the Racing Museum, our friend Brian Bouye, the communications director over there, we've talked about his book before, Bare Knuckles in Saratoga Racing, The Remarkable Life of John Morrissey. He has a book signing tomorrow night at the museum in Congress Park.
Yeah, it's the museum's not in Congress Park. Oh yeah, the Saratoga History Museum. Sorry, not the Racing Museum. It's the Saratoga History Museum, which is a really cool space. If you've never been, I mean, this is a great opportunity to go and look at some of its exhibits as well. And John Morrissey, I've said it every week, just a fascinating guy. I've started reading Brian's book. It's great, so I can recommend it. And go support the local guy who's become an author.
I should make that clear because a lot of people don't realize that building there is the Saratoga History Museum.
The Capital Casino. Which was John Morrissey's casino. So it's a very, very cool place to be going to hear a presentation about John Morrissey.
7 o'clock tomorrow night. Also tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Highly recommended. Always enjoy it. I usually go down, get my usual hot turkey sandwich and listen to the radio broadcast, but participate live amongst many, many other people. The Andy Serling radio show down at the Parting Glass.
With a stellar group of guests tomorrow night. The recent Hall of Famer Ramon Dominguez will be there, really beloved jockey. Siena basketball coach Jimmy Patsos, from what I understand is a pretty big racing enthusiast and quite a voluble guy. Trainer Charlton Baker, who races on the New York circuit, spends a lot of time at Finger Lakes. We see him all year round, though. And what a meet he's having.
Yeah, we got to get Charlie on.
Yeah, he's, hitting a pretty significant clip. And Trainer Dale Romans, who last night was presented with his replica canoe for his win in the Travers last year, upsetting American Pharoah with Keen Ice.
Yeah, those were kind of cool. It was a new tradition at the draw.
Cool. Definitely
the
cool.
owner, the jockey, and the trainer of the Travers winner got replica canoes because, of course, if you're not familiar, the canoe out in the lake is painted in the colors of the Travers winner, so they got kind of replicas. Red Jacket ceremony is coming up on Friday. It's New York Showcase Day, so a lot of New York bred stakes races, but also about the middle of the afternoon, 2:50 p.m., there will be a presentation. A couple of new names get entered in the Red Jacket situation, which is part of that Walk of Fame out in the backyard.
Yeah, so over the last several years, the New York Racing Association has honored a variety of people who've made significant contributions to Saratoga. Johnny Velasquez, Jerry Bailey, Angel Cordero, Mary Lou Whitney, Ogden Phipps, Tom Durkin, and Dwayne Lucas, Alan Jerkins. That might be the whole list, but maybe I left somebody off. And this year it's Bill Mott and Cot Campbell, obviously two people who have had such great success up here and made such incredible contributions. Cot Campbell sort of in the vanguard of racing partnerships with his Dogwood stable. Bill Mott, who owned the trainer's title up here for a while. So should be a really lovely ceremony in the winner's circle between, I think it's right after the third race, I think. Maybe not the third.
So check your watch. It'll be wherever the two races are. It'll be in between those two at about the 250 mark. All right.
Also wanted to say something on Friday about the food drive that's going to be here. In the community outreach booth, which is right next to the Jockey Silks room, is the Saratoga Economic Opportunity Council, and they'll be having a food drive there from 11 to 5. Bring non-perishable foods and personal care items, toothpaste, peanut butter, pasta, canned goods, and if you bring 3, you will get a Saratoga collectible. Really good cause to help people who need it in this area.
All right.
And
couple cans of tuna fish, can of ravioli, and get yourself a Saratoga collectible.
Yeah.
I like that. Perfect.
Yeah.
And that's coming up on Friday. And where is that?
Where's it's at the community outreach booth, which is near the porch outside the Jockey Silks room.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. So, again, that's coming up on Friday. Coming up on Saturday, there'll be a Tom Durkin meet and greet. This is going to be limited, so do keep it in mind. You have to pick up tickets at the 4-Star Dave Sports Bar between 10:30 and 11:45. And then the signing takes place between noon and 2. You can go in and have a souvenir item signed by Tom Durkin. Again, it all take place at the 4-Star Dave Sports Bar. But do keep in mind you have to show up between that 10:30 and 11:45 to get a ticket because it'll be limited. Everybody loves Tom.
Everybody loves Tom. I have a feeling that's going to be a mob scene.
Yeah.
Just also a reminder that on Saturday the gates open at 7. So I'm going to guess if you show up to get on that line at 10:30, the first 150 people may well be in front of you. So you may want to think about getting there a little early.
That's a very good point. If the gates open that early, you make a great point. So if you're in and you're at your picnic table and you're thinking, don't wait till 10:30.
Don't wait till 10:30. Yeah.
All right. Coming up on Sunday, do want to remind you again. I play every week, and I've only been in the hunt like once. The last couple of years I've been okay, but the low roller contest, Sundays and Mondays, a lot of fun. $40, 10 goes into the prize pool. You play with 30 during the rest of the day. 5 $2 win place and show bets during the afternoon. The leader pulls on, I think, 50% of the pool, and I think they pay out to 5 maybe. But it's a lot of fun, and you think a little bit differently handicapping. There's a leaderboard that you can keep track of during the afternoon and see how you're doing. The other day, that $100 winner, the crazy $100 winner the other day, I went down and looked at the leaderboard. Yes, somebody had it and won the contest with it.
Wow.
We were all chasing at that point. Yeah. We were all chasing at that point. But usually it's a little more formful than that, and it's a lot of fun. Highly recommend it. So again, Sundays and Mondays. Although last year they didn't do a closing day, so I'm assuming probably 3 left. The next 2 Sundays and this coming Monday. Keep that in mind. And the downstairs carousel, 4-Star Day Sports Bar. There's a sign up over in that area. So highly recommend it. Also coming up on Sunday. Again, this one should be popular as well. A Ramon Dominguez autograph signing, and he'll sign some posters by Greg Montgomery.
Right, exactly. We have a little bit of a theme coming back here. Yep, so they'll $20 per autograph poster over in the lobby of the Racing Museum, and Ramon will be there signing to celebrate his induction.
10 to 11 a.m., so it should be a lot of fun. Oh, and I also wanted to bring up something coming up next Tuesday, Old Friends at Cabin Creek Barn Dance.
Yeah, I don't have any details on that yet. It was announced earlier this summer, so hopefully early next week we'll be able to get you some more info on that. And as events come in, I update the calendar on the website pretty quickly, so check back frequently and see what else is going on.
But we had the folks from Cabot Creek. We had Michael Blown on earlier this year. They've had a number of events. This one sounds like fun. Yeah. If you're thinking about going and you don't already, you got to go out and buy blue jeans and a check shirt, I'm imagining.
I would think so, and a cowboy hat probably.
If you're going to fit in out there.
Right.
But sounds like fun, and that's next Tuesday, and you can go to the Old Friends at Cabin Creek website. Yep. I'm sure more info will be available there.
Yeah.
All right, Teresa, appreciated the visit, and next week, you and I were talking, it looks like you're being a little early next week, maybe Monday, because the teacher/freelance writer of horse racing articles goes back to school next week.
I go back to school next week, yeah. A little some pre-opening of school meetings, so I'll be heading back down to Brooklyn early next week and back up for closing weekend.
Hard to believe, but it is that time of year. Yeah. And so again, we'll plug in a little bit early next week to get our lineup for closing week up here at Saratoga. Closing, I hate to use that phrase, but all good things must come to an end. That's what makes it special.
And you know what? We just need to enjoy the days we have left.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. All right, Teresa, appreciate the visit again.
Thanks.
Brooklyn Backstretch blog, the calendar, and many more events are available there. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Diana Pikulski from the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation will join us. Stay tuned.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Face it. Most horse racing websites are just too much clutter, too much to navigate through. Next time, log on to CapitalOTB.com. Our newly designed website is easier than ever to use, with all the information the professional horse player needs. CapitalOTB.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit RTN.tv. RTN,
a breed apart.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrow.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Hi, I'm Acacia Courtney. I'm a senior at Fordham University, and believe it or not, I'm a fan of horse racing. It used to be that we would come to the track to watch beautiful horses run and maybe even place a bet. But today, competition for gaming dollars has taken over all of that. Now, fan numbers are dropping. Why is that? Because new people are not being introduced to our sport. ThoroughFan is a national 501c3 nonprofit thoroughbred fan organization that wants to change all of that. Be a part of making a difference in our sport. For just $25 a year, you can be a part of a network of thoroughbred racing fans. Visit thoroughfan.com/join for more information.
Now get all the racing information you need right on your mobile device with Capital OTB's new mobile app. Wager anytime, anywhere, right from your smartphone or tablet. Watch, wager, and win right at your fingertips. The new Capital OTB mobile app.
50 yards, heavily poised, here's the line, one dreamer wins and scores a huge front-running upset under Gary Stevens. Heavily prized was second. You have just witnessed a felony.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning. As promised before the break, we are now joined by Diana Pikulski from the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. Good morning, Diana.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Happy to have you on board. And why don't we just start right out? What's the mission of the TRF?
The mission of the TRF is to retire and sometimes rescue thoroughbred racehorses that retire from racing with no other options.
And also want to alert people, you are an organization that depends on donation or charitable events. And yesterday you had one of your Saratoga events out at McGregor, a nice golf outing out there hosted by Rich Migliore. Pulled up a few photos from your Twitter feed. It looks like it was a big day.
Oh, it was a huge day. The weather, of course, was absolutely perfect, but we did it in partnership with the
PDJF.
PDJF, thank you. And I always mix that up. Anyway, we had a terrific time, and it was really great to do it together. So many of the jockeys came out and supported the event, and we had just a great time. Great time. It's a beautiful course.
And I read, I think Parcells won a putting competition.
He did.
Yeah,
well, his foursome won the whole thing,
nice.
And he won the putting contest.
Which of the jocks have a good swing on the golf course?
Well, Mike Leslie's foursome came in second. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
there you go. The Luz, knocking it dead out there on the golf course.
And I would say that Richie had the most fun.
And that counts.
Yeah, exactly.
Did the Ortiz brothers play?
We had Jose, but I don't think Arad played.
Because I played in the charity basketball game, and they're both pretty good athletes. And
yes.
I tend to think if you're good athletes, if you can kind of, it maybe transfers over to golf as well.
Definitely, yeah.
And so, good to know that they were out there
it was
knocking
really
it
fun.
around. Nice event out there. Let's talk a little bit about, again, the mission, taking horses off of the racetrack, finding a nice retirement for them. But also the TRF has a great initiative called Second Chances that benefits not just the horses, but the people involved as well. Talk about that.
That's right. In the very beginning, 33, 35 years ago, we were looking for the right place to start the foundation. And one of our directors had the idea of going to the Wallkill Correctional Facility, where they had a big farm that they weren't using. And so that was our first place. We've been there for 35 years, and there's anywhere between 40 and 50 horses there at any given time. And we expanded it to 9 other correctional facilities around the country. One woman's prison in Florida, and they are just hands down every single day, 100% successful, and it's just a good story every day. You know, that it's a great thing to know that while we're here raising money and telling people what's happening out at the farms, the horses are connecting with people and making a difference in their lives.
And the people are connecting with the horses and learning a skill as well.
Well, that's the thing. They're learning a skill. they're also learning empathy. They're learning how to, tap into the part of them that maybe when they were living on the street or addicted to drugs or alcohol, they couldn't, allow that vulnerable part of them, which is caring and responsible, to come out. And now they can. And now that's what works with the horses. The horses respond to somebody being trustworthy and honest, and so that's what develops in these people.
Yeah, again, it's a great initiative that benefits, as I say, the horses and the people.
Right.
You talked about a number of correctional facilities involved. Overall, how many facilities are under your umbrella?
Overall, we have 25 facilities. Today, we're caring for 840 horses around the country. Whenever we have a horse that's sound and able, we retrain it, and they go and become show horses and riding horses for people. We have a lot of horses now going into equine-assisted therapy, which is sort of like the formal version of what we developed with the original correctional facility farms. So, and they also go into hippotherapy, where people who are paraplegic, they are able to sit on the horse and have the horse move them. And it's about thoroughbreds. The thoroughbred is the best horse for all of these things, hands down. They respond more readily to people. They are more sensitive. They really do calm down and settle down. They learn how to do their job just like they do their job here on the racetrack. And one of our farm managers said the other day, the difference between a thoroughbred and a different breed of horse, to him, is that the thoroughbred is much more willing to change its mind right away about what it is that it was thinking of doing versus what you wanted to do. So they just really want to please and focus in on the people who are caring for them.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never really thought about that before, but it kind of makes sense that a thoroughbred would fit into this maybe a little better than other breeds, because a thoroughbred being at the racetrack all the time, there's probably more human-horse interaction than other breeds would normally have in a given day.
Yes, and to do things that are, unusual, right, out of the norm for a horse, to put up with things and, noise or, the whole racing thing or the trailers, everything.
How do you get the horses that you then transfer to these facilities?
Well, they come from different sources. There are lots of terrific owners who will donate a horse to us while it's still sound, and then they make a donation to help us get the horse retrained and out to a new place. We still find there are horses still going to slaughter, and so there are horses that end up in kill pens around the country, and people will contact us to help with those horses. And then mostly, though, it's carrying people along the way in a horse's life who realize that the horse needs intervention, and then they look to the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation to provide that lifetime of care. We still have Quick Call, who a lot of your
we have some shots there because the Quick Call was run the other day. And I pulled out your Twitter feed. You had an old win photo, which was nice, but then a picture of Quick Call himself, and folks, certainly Saratoga folks will remember him, not only a multiple-time winner here, but over multiple years.
Right, so he's 32 now, and still, the guys at Wallkill, he's their favorite. So, so it's going to be sad when he goes, but he's doing great at 32.
Yeah, and as they
tough,
say,
tough.
A Saratoga favorite as well. Talk a little bit about, you talked about how long your organization has been in existence. And, we've had other people on, Val Buck and the work she does, and there are other organizations out there doing the work of taking retired thoroughbreds and either giving them a nice retirement or finding a second career. But talk a little bit about how the industry has changed, maybe over the past 5 or 10 years, becoming more cognizant of this and kind of trying to get that second career or a nice retirement for the racehorses.
It has changed. There's certainly much more awareness. Some of the really high-profile owners and breeders have come on board to, they see how all of these nonprofits, we're always struggling every year to raise the money that we need. And there are always more horses that need us, right? So it's hard. You know that every day there's going to be phone calls with horses that you can't take, only because there isn't enough funding. And you think, well, okay, here's an industry that clearly, if they committed to it and dedicated the funding, then there would be enough funding. So we think we're getting to that point. Right now, most of the funding still comes on a voluntary basis, even if it's funding that's coming from some aspect of the industry. But we're still a long way off from getting where we need to be. But one of the good things is that owners are retiring horses when they're sound, instead of necessarily having them race longer or maybe into more claiming races. They're retiring them when they're more sound so they can go and do something else.
Yeah, which allows for those second careers,
Right.
the
Right.
show jumping or whatnot.
Yeah.
So it takes folks to make donations. Obviously, these
Right.
horses have to be fed every day and taken care of, and there are vet bills and whatnot. Yesterday's event out at McGregor certainly played into that, but I also noted on your website you have another event coming up that people can jump into and participate in,
Right.
and it's fun for them, and it benefits you guys as well. You have the Run for Horses coming up
Right,
towards the end of the meet.
Yeah, it's a 5K run. You can run, you can walk, you can shuffle like I will. You can, and it's really fun. We have good vendors there. There's horses that come in the race. People bring their dogs. And it helps not only the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, but we have a coalition of organizations that are here in Saratoga. It helps the coalition. You can also sponsor horses on the TRF website, which you can connect to a horse. It's a great gift for a family member. It's doesn't have to be for a lot of money, but it really makes you feel good. That's one of the things we love about the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, is that we always talk about all the good news and connecting people with horses, because there's just nothing better than getting to know one of these thoroughbreds when they're racing or when they're finished racing, because they're just great individuals.
Yeah, and again, we've been showing the website throughout, but if people visit the website, there's a way to donate there as well. So swing by the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation website. There's the address right there. You can donate there. You can learn more about the Run for Horses coming up. That's a week from this Saturday. It kicks out off in the state park, right?
Yes, yes.
So if you want to participate in that manner, you can do that as well. Diana, congratulations to you and everyone at the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation for the good work you do. Keep it up. We appreciate the visit this morning.
Okay, thank you for having us. It's great.
All right, we'll head to a break. When we come back, Larry Collmus is in the house. We'll talk a little Saratoga and beyond with Larry. Stay tuned.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
It's where dreams are born and champions are tested. Saratoga.
And the excitement of Saratoga is now at your fingertips at CapitalOTBBet.com. Wager any place, anytime on all your digital devices. Watch live racing, get past performances, bet online on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. Now for Saratoga, it's Bet 100, Get 100. Open a new Capital Bets account, bet $100, and get $100 cash back. And don't forget to download our new mobile app, CapitalOTBBet.com.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Not at the track and not near a computer? No problem. Wager with Capital OTB's touch-tone wagering system and you'll never get shut out again. Capital OTB's touch-tone wagering system is quick, simple to use, and guarantees your wagers are accurate and placed on time. For more information, visit CapitalOTB.com or call Capital OTB's customer service hotline at 800-292-BETS. Capital OTB's touch-tone wagering system. Never get shut out again.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Tree is now moving on the outside, and they're into the stretch. And here she comes. Songbird's got a 4-length lead as they come into the final furlong. Mike Smith just shakes the reins at Songbird. Going for broke has made progress up into second inside of Family Tree, but they're 6 lengths behind Songbird at the 16th pole. It is Songbird, this magnificent filly, winning the Alabama. She is a perfect 10. Songbird with the greatest of ease today over Going for Broke, Family Tree, and Week No More. Her final time was 2 minutes and 3 seconds flat.
A perfect 10 and the perfect ending to a really nice performance by Songbird in the Alabama this past Saturday. And you heard the call from Larry Collmus. We're happy to be joined by Larry this morning. Good morning.
Hey, Seth. How are you?
Very good. Happy to have you come over again to join us. Nice job this past Saturday with Songbird. And talk a little bit about that. Obviously, with the claiming races and allowance of the day-to-day stuff, you probably don't have too much planned. But a big race like that, I'm assuming, you know these kind go into the archives, particularly an undefeated horse like this who has the Hall of Fame sitting out there. You're thinking ahead of time, maybe I'll do this or do that depending on the circumstances.
Yeah, you do. I mean, for a big race like that, you want to come up with some sort of a line that lets people know that, it's a big event, and Tom Hammond from NBC Sports was the one that really got that into my head. He says, look, somebody's talked about winging the Belmont call with American Pharoah. It's like, don't do that. Come up with something good, because you want to be known as the guy that had the right thing to say rather than anything that sort of came out of your head at the time. So I don't want to use the word scripted. I like to use prepared.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and I think that's exactly right, because I'm assuming you might have 2 or 3 options given what might transpire. It's horse racing.
Right. If it turns out that it's a horse race, and they're coming down to the wire, then all bets are off. Just call the race.
Yeah.
And make that event the way it is. But if it's going to be a runaway, then you should sort of have something ready for that too.
And it's interesting, you talk about a horse race and those ding-dong battles. As bettors, we love those, and I'm imagining as a race caller, you love those too.
Sure.
Talk a little bit about the runaway as compared to the ding-dong battle, and what you feel your mission is as a race caller.
Well, I think accuracy is always number one. You try to be as accurate as possible and get the horses right, and you try to entertain a little bit as well on the side. But accuracy is always number one. The one thing that I love about Saratoga's announcer's booth, and it is a tough booth, as I'm sure the stories have been told, everything's in your way, and the view of the finish at Saratoga is tremendous compared to Belmont. Tremendous. And I'm finding myself really calling tight photos here at Saratoga, which I would say are too close to call it Belmont. Yeah, and it's because of my angle. At Belmont, everything looks like it's inside favored, whereas at Saratoga, you could just eye that finish line and boom, you can see. Sometimes it is too close to call, and you'll say that, but very few too close to calls compared to Belmont Park.
Yeah, that's interesting. Talk a little bit about how you got your start. We were in here the other day, and I'm trying to think who we were in here with, but we were talking about a little track that they started at, and he said, oh yeah, Larry Collmus was there too. Where'd you get your...
I bet that was Steve Asmussen talking about Birmingham.
Yes, it might have been. You're exactly right. Yeah.
That was my first full-time announcing job, the Birmingham Turf Club in Alabama, and Steve was working with his dad there, and he told me a couple of stories that I didn't even remember about that place. But that was my first full-time job. I grew up in Maryland, so I started as the backup announcer at the Maryland tracks when I was 18 years old. And the first track I called was Bowie, which was their last meet ever. A lot of people don't even remember Bowie, but it was a neat track in southern Maryland. And I called my first race there, which of course was won by King Leatherberry. Aren't they all, right? Or at least back then they were. And that's how it all started for me. I remember the horse Tiara's Flame. Alberto Delgado was the jockey. King Leatherberry was the trainer. And I don't even know how many tens of thousands of races I've called ever since, but that was the first one.
That's funny, because a lot of times I'll ask jockeys or trainers, you remember your first win, and it is indelibly
etched.
But you remember the first call as well.
Yeah, I do. I remember that first race. I can't remember the details of it other than my binoculars were shaking like crazy.
And speaking of Maryland, it always amazes me. You have such a tough job, but when somebody like you does it, it seems so flawless, and you make it seem so easy. But in Maryland, they've done it a couple of times, that crazy media day where they invited the local media to call a race, and you can tell that it's each, there are 8 or 9 media people that'll get a race, and you can tell 4 or 5 of them have they've studied, and about the first 100 yards they're great, and then it all falls apart.
Yeah, you can't just walk up and do it. I mean, the more times you do it, the easier it gets, but it never gets easy because there's always something that could come up in a race. And I'll tell you what, you have days where you're sharper than other days. This past week, I've just felt like I was maybe just a step behind where I normally would be, and there's no explanation for it. You just, all of a sudden, you look at all the horses on the track, you memorize their names, and then you go to look again, it's like, now who's that again? And, it's like you wish you knew why that happens, but then you just hope it goes away, and it eventually does. I think your brain just gets tired and needs to, move on and get refocused.
Yeah,
and
like
usually a day off helps.
Yeah, anything else. Sometimes you're in the zone, and sometimes not so much. Talk a little bit about the procedure that you use, because, again, guys like you make it look so easy, but it's kind of a short-term memory thing where you got them plugged in, and then you have to lose that and plug it in again. Take us through the procedure as you go into a race.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll briefly look over the race as to how it might run, get the horses' names in my head a little bit before they come onto the track. But when they come onto the track, that's when the real studying begins, because you really need to find out what they look like. I mean, you can't go by the program all the time. It's usually right, but it's not always right. And you want to get those horses in your head by looking at the jockey silks. And I look at them over and over until I can say every horse's name in that race without looking at my program. And once I can get that done, I'm good to go. And then I'll do it again, like maybe one more time when they're out onto the track, when they're in a different order, because you don't need to know them in order. You need to know them out of order, because they're not going to run in order. So it's just a quick study. Then that race is over, and about a minute later you can ask me who won it. And if it wasn't a big race, I'll say, I'm not sure, because I get another one in a half an hour that I get to study.
And talk about the big race prep, and let's tie it into the Travers and 14-horse field. That has to present problems in and of itself. Talk about a big field in the Travers coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, 14 horses is a big deal, and I luckily have called most of these horses before, so I'm familiar with them. I called the Kentucky Derby with 20 horses, so 14 doesn't sound like it's bad, but it still is. It's a lot of horses, and you can't devote quite as much time on the Travers as you do on the Kentucky Derby, because the Kentucky Derbies, there's all these prep races, and you're gathering information for weeks and weeks and weeks. Travers, it just sort of hits you in the head in the middle of the Saratoga meet. Oh yeah, it's the Travers, and you've got a great undercard of races that you have to prepare yourself for. So in fact, today I asked the publicity people here at NYRA to get me all the silks so that I could start doing that. But I'll make cue cards and just kind of studying them, put silks on one side, horse's name on the other, and just over and over, just make sure I know who they all are.
Sure. And how many times, a mile and a quarter, 14-horse field, how many times do you go through the entire field?
At least once, probably twice. I've never called a 14-horse Travers before. The Kentucky Derby is only once. There's no shot of getting through that twice. But I would think that there's a shot of getting through the Travers field twice, but whether that's necessary or not, I think maybe it's not, because you want to focus on what's going on up front, and you don't want to miss too much by talking about who's 14th, midway on the far turn, because it's not that important unless it's, in creator and he's beginning his move. You have to look for horses that are closers who may be factors later. And the one thing about the Travers this year is probably don't have to worry too much about coming up with a catchy line or anything for the Travers, because it's going to be a horse race.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, because the three-year-old picture is so undefined. I don't know whether there's one horse you can, or two or three even, that you can come up with catchy lines for, because I think it's an undefined three-year-old picture, and I think it is going to come down to a ding-dong battle in the stretch.
I think so, too, yeah. I mean, does Exaggerator have to have mud? I guess we'll find out, because I don't think he's going to get it this time. It's going to be a beautiful day, and if that's the case, and he wins, well, he's the leader of the division, no doubt about it at that point. Runaway.
You alluded to it a minute ago, picking up a closer. Talk a little bit about, do you handicap the race so that, any race, not just the Travers, but any race, so that you kind of realize, oh, I may have to keep my eye on this one who tends to sit way back, but then makes that late run, so that you're aware I may have to
Sure.
pick up on that.
You should be aware of that, especially if they're one of the favorites. And I'll definitely give the favorite extra attention because most people bet on the horse, so they want to know where he is. So you're going to talk about that a little bit more than the other horses. But yeah, horses that come from behind, like a Creator, an off-the-pace type of a horse, you do want to not let them go when they turn for home and you've got maybe 4 horses that are battling up front. You want to keep an eye back there on that one. I mean, last year we had, I remember Jess's Dream was one of the, that was so much fun, and you could tell when they were turning for home that all of a sudden that like turbo kicked in, and like here he comes, and so all of a sudden there's like 8 horses in front of him, but I'm only calling him because I can see that he's just going to blow by them.
Yeah, and if folks don't remember the Rachel Alexandra offspring that you thought, oh, how unfortunate, is not going to run well today. And then, as you said, the turbojet came on.
Yeah, it was fun.
And won very nicely. Talk a little bit about also the undercard. Are you looking forward to, I think Lady Eli could be one of the stories of the meet. I think it's going to be a great undercard as well.
Oh, my God. I mean, already Chad Brown, the meet that he's had, I saw him at the Travers draw. He goes, how's your meet going? I said, not as good as yours. And he left it. But, he has just been unbelievable. 30 wins. He's 1 away from getting his 1,000th. But I bet that this is the one that he cares the most about because Lady Eli has come back from laminitis, and that just doesn't happen. Yeah. And if she wins, which she probably will, if it's the old Lady Eli or close
like
to
she's
it,
working well.
that it's going to be a lot of fun to watch that. And of course, his other horse, Flincher, I mean, was remarkable last time. You've got the King's Bishop. I mean, it's like a mini Breeders' Cup. It's just a blast.
It's a great day, and let's tie that into before we let you go. Now your second season up here. Just how's this couple of seasons at Saratoga worked out for you?
Does it have to end? I mean, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
It's just you walk around and as soon as you get into this place, you're in a good mood. Everybody is having fun and people are so nice and the racing is second to none and you get huge crowds every day. And it's just, there's just nothing like it. I'm sure Del Mar's great. I'll take Saratoga. It's just, I used to come here as a fan and just hope that one day when Tom decided he didn't want to do it anymore, that I'd be the guy that got to do it. And you dream about it, and then it happens, and you're like, oh, it's not going to be as good as you think. It's better. It's way better. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
I just love it.
You talk about being in a good mood. If somebody walked up to me on the front side the other day and said, hey, I saw your picture in the magazine. Saratoga Summer, I think. They took a picture of me up in the press box last year. And she said, man, you're smiling. You're so happy. You're beaming. I said, why not? I'm at Saratoga.
Exactly.
How can you not be thrilled? Let's also remind people that, you're doing the NBC broadcast on Saturday, Triple Crown, Breeders' Cup and whatnot. All that ties into a lot of work in New York, a lot of work for NBC. So your Florida schedule has changed up now.
Yeah, I've decided to give up Gulfstream, just like Tom Durkin did. In fact, he was one of the first people to text me after I made the decision, and it was one of those it's about time text messages. He goes, and he told me in advance, and I knew it was going to happen. It just got to be too much. There was a lot on the plate, 11 months out of the year, a little more than that actually, and I was just like, you know what, it's time to just take a step back, take the winter off, have a good time, and just rest up and be ready to roll in the fall at Wood Memorial Week. And that's what Tom did. It worked for him. It elongated his career, and that's what I want to do for me. I want to do this a long time. I want to be at Saratoga for the next, 200 years. So if I kept doing Gulfstream, that wouldn't happen. So it was time.
All right, but we can look forward to the NBC broadcast this weekend and beyond. Breeders' Cup, Triple Crown races, and of course New York for most of the year and up here at Saratoga. And we'll look forward to, as I say, to this weekend NBC. We should also fold in the MSG Fox Sports broadcast in the afternoons. Your calls are featured there as well, and that's been Phil Mushnick in the New York Post gave the big thumbs up to that.
I know, how cool was that?
That was nice.
And Phil's tough.
Yeah,
Phil's very tough.
I was surprised.
Yeah, we're going to do the show.
Tough.
Yeah, I think we're going to do the show from 2:30 to 4, I believe, on Travers Day before the NBC show.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And then
stakes race.
NBC will come in, and so it'll be you'll get a chance to watch most of the big stakes on those two shows.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Larry, we appreciate the visit as always. You're doing great work. Keep it up, and we'll talk again.
Thanks, Seth.
All right, we're going to wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America. Wednesday morning, we kick off Travers Week. Thanks to Larry, thanks to Diana Pikulski from the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, Teresa Genaro with the calendar. Again, you can go to the Brooklyn Backstretch blog to get the complete calendar of events coming up. And Joe Clancy from the Saratoga Special. Thank him for some thoughts on the steeplechase races today and tomorrow, the New York Turf Riders, the Grade 1 event. All right, we're going to wrap things up for this edition. Enjoy the races this afternoon. Let's all cash a few tickets. See you tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, right here for the Handicappers Report.
You've been watching Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.